tall as it is wide. That's what mine was, right? So it's not particularly, it's kind of deep, that one. Not particularly wide.
That one's...
Shoot for one that has some depth. So a good goal would be a continuous curve that has the same height as width, more or less. Of course, when the first time you're doing it, you're like, how do I know it's going to come out that way? How wide do I start out? One more little push on the bottom. I don't want the bottom to be too wide because then I have too wide of a foot. So one more push.
Oh, please don't hurt.
The stiffness of your clay will also be kind of important to how well you're doing.
Remix is pretty soft, isn't it?
This is perfect for
Is
me.
it? Oh,
Perfect.
cool.
It's not that soft, this batch, but it's not particularly firm either. It's just right in the middle. Just right perfect. If your clay is too soft when you're throwing bowls, you have to just nail it like on the a couple times and not mess with it too much, because the more you mess with it, it's going to slump. The firmer the clay is, the more it'll hold itself up. But it's harder to center and harder to manipulate. And so I generally prefer throwing softer clay. So I'm opening it up and making sure that that top really gets pushed out. So it's like
The top?
yeah.
the rim?
So I don't want it to be like a deep
Okay.
open. I want that, and so I utilize this action here because and I can even roll this this thumb over there if I want, and kind of compress that into a thicker. So I don't have the curve yet. It's more like a V. What's important at this stage is how far down you went. So you just have to guess. Leave your bottoms thick for the bowls so
For
you
trimming.
can trim it. Yeah. Last thing you want is like a really paper thin bottom on a bowl because you'll never be able to trim it with a foot. And there can be bowls without trimmed feet, but for the most part, bowls should be trimmed to get the good form. Okay. So now I'm going to do that curve starting point right now. So the inside kind of looks like a little bowl with a little, we call that an inkwell. And so now I do all my bowl pulls the same, which is just with my fingertips like this. That's the first. And what did I do? 3 or 4 pulls, which is about what
So between your fingertips.
Yep. Same thing. Plenty of pressure. I try to take a bite, a lot of pressure, and I lock in. And it's important to throw through, probably even a little bit more so with the bowl. You know what I mean by that? Go all the way through to the top. And I'm pushing towards the middle, and you'll see how much this rib compresses the clay. And it actually,
So you're pushing out?
yeah, it takes off all the slip, and it compresses the clay. Clay likes to be compressed, right? And you can see that the foot has a lot of clay. And a bowl should have a lot of extra clay at the bottom. Probably even better, as you guys are learning this, is if your outside shape was actually filled in a little bit. Mine, I kind of overdid it a little bit on the pole.
What do you
right?
mean, more clay at the
Let me
bottom?
do the next one. I'll leave a little bit more. It's almost too thin down here for learning. it's good to have your wall tapered a little bit. Remember when we were doing the cylinders, we kept trying to get that taper away, thin it out, and well, cylinder's straight up, so it should be able to be a taller bowl that's really deep, because at this point, you want to center it with the proportions in mind. If it's a low, wide bowl, center low and wide. If it's a taller bowl, then you center a little bit narrower. I'm going to throw a very simple parabolic curve. Carl, you were with me when we figured all that out, right? We were talking about the difference between a parabola and what's the other one? The curve, the mathematics. Does anybody?
An exponential.
An exponential curve, yeah. Or no, catenary.
Oh, okay.
Catenary.
Oh, yeah.
Parabolic, where they changed the skis. Remember, skis used to be straight, then they went to parabolic.
Yeah.
Catenary curves different.
Yeah.
You make kilns with catenary.
Right. And so I think technically we're going to make a catenary curve on this bowl. I think that's what we came up with. But I always call it a parabolic curve because I remember in math class we had.
Is
make
it
those
parabolic just like
curves.
a slack piece of chain?
That's a catenary.
That's catenary.
Yeah. And so the cables on the bridge are the same because it was all this way. Anyway, what it is a continuous curve. Can you guys see the chalkboard? I drew some profiles of the bowls there, of a bowl in
Progression.
stages. So I am about to go to stage one, which is to open up the bowl, and you can see it's a big thick thing. But look at the inside of each little bowl shape there. It's a continuous curve. My drawing's not the best, right? But you got the idea. It doesn't have a lot of flat spots or lumps in it. The inside. As you thin the wall, that same curve just gets bigger and bigger. This is the way I throw bowls. Some people throw them very differently. They throw more of a cylinder and stretch it into a bowl. I throw it as a bowl from start to finish, and I focus on the inside the whole time. The outside takes care of itself. And then the last thing I'll show you on the chalkboard before we focus on this thing is, see the third and fourth stages? The third stage is what we'll get to today, throwing. The fourth stage is trimming. You trim more on a bowl than you do on something based on a cylinder. You need that extra clay down at the bottom to hold the curve for you. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate it now, and so you'll see that. I better get this thing a little bit better centered. Once I'm stuck on there, right, I can get the wheel going top speed and hold on to it. I haven't thrown D-Mix in a long time. It's like cream cheese. All right. So that's the width of my base. I'm going to throw the bowl out from that. Yeah, so you don't want to have to push in or out much. Or you can't really push out too much because not a cylinder you can push like that. So just you know, do your best to get the width that you want. And then I'm going to open up just like we open up for the cylinder. But right now, I'm going to remind myself I'm throwing a bowl and not a cylinder. And a little extra water. This opening up technique that I showed you, I'm kind of exaggerating it out a little bit more. I'm really keeping my hand back when I open it up. This got a little thin right there for what I wanted, and I can push that down. I don't want to lip too early. And I opened it up just like we did before, but I'm not going to flatten that floor now because I want a bowl. Instead, I'm going to create the bowl shape on the inside. And I'll do it the same way, but my hand is going to roll, my fingertips are going to roll up as I come towards myself. You guys got it? So this is the big difference at this stage between a bowl and a cylinder. If it was a cylinder, I'd be starting there, flattening that floor. It's got a big kind of hole in the middle. It's not the greatest. I can spend some time right now to make it a little bit better of a bowl shape. And I can go back in too. So like I said, bowls are about the inside, especially this type of bowl. So I can really go back and forth and Okay, so I got a good start. It's not a great curve yet, but it's started. And now I'll start to pull up the wall and keep that same curve. So every time that I pull the wall, I'm thinking about that curve. That's how you can avoid having like a flat bottom or a big lump in the curve. Now, next class, I'm gonna bring in some bowls, and you guys can bring in if you want, it's like with the cups. And I'll show you different types. There's a lot of different shapes bowls can be. But I'm gonna throw this as a very basic, general, continuous curve. And that's what I want you to try to do. Once you can do a perfect curve on a bowl, then you can really do a lot of different shapes where they do have one curve and then a wall or something like that. But shoot for one continuous curve at first. So that was one pull. I didn't go in with my knuckle like I did with the cylinder, and I wasn't that aggressive. It just opened up a little bit, right? I have a ton of clay down here. Just a ton, right? I'm gonna try to gather some of that clay between my fingertips. And then once I'm locked in, it's like this. So it's really simple. When you pull the wall up, you pull it into the bowl shape as best you can. I got all this slip, which is nice. So right now, I'm pushing down with my inside hand, I'm pushing in with my outside hand until I gather some clay, and then I curve out and up. And then as I go up to the top, I'm really making sure that I don't keep going out, because bowls want to go out. If you want to have any type of depth to your bowl, at the very end of that pull, just try to bring it so that you go up, just at that last little bit there.
It makes it stronger too, huh? Does it collapse?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. If you go too horizontal, all of the gravity is going to make it sag. And so you really want to focus on keeping the curve go this way. If your curve goes the other way, you could have a bowl in the end that has a curve that kind of comes out like this. But if you try to do that through the whole process, it's going to sag on you. So this curve is very strong. And in the end, you can change the shape if you want to.
Do you think if we